Hey everyone, and welcome to today's wellness webinar on mindful eating. As a registered dietitian, I am a huge proponent of mindful eating as a way to improve your health and your relationship with food. I know the term mindful eating can get thrown around a lot out there and can mean different things to different people, so today I'm hoping to share with you my thoughts on the topic from the perspective of a nutrition professional and share with you some tips on how to get started on your own mindful eating journey. Let's start out by talking about what mindful eating is and why you might be interested in trying it out. Mindful eating is a non-diet approach to healthful eating. Rather than focusing on specific food rules, it's more of an overall approach to how we think about and eat food from a lifestyle and behavioral perspective. Specifically, mindful eating is about maintaining awareness and eating with intention. Part of this awareness means that food intake is based on the body's cues of hunger and fullness to help guide what and how much to eat. Another component of this awareness piece is paying attention and being present in your experiences before, during, and after eating. Notice what you feel in your body and in your head. This might look like really honing in on the food itself, noticing and enjoying the flavors or textures. Or it could be paying attention to your thoughts and surroundings and how those impact your eating experience and choices. When eating is based on these internal cues, the intention or purpose of eating shifts toward fueling the body. And once a person gets back in tune with their natural fueling instincts, they should find that the food choices become based on both health and enjoyment. Our bodies naturally want both of these things, and they'll help us find a balance. If you think about it, this makes a lot of sense. People are born with an innate sense of when to eat and how much. Infants operate on their own schedule. If they're hungry, they don't care that it's not a good time for their parents. Throughout childhood, this sense of intuition persists. Kids tend to be able to go about their day and eat when they're hungry and stop when they're full much easier than adults. As we grow up, many people lose touch with their bodies, and the demands of the modern world tend to determine eating habits. Whether it's a busy schedule, the media promoting certain diets, or the mental impact of the grind of everyday life, many people do not eat according to their own internal guidance. We're told we shouldn't eat certain foods or at certain times. We skip meals or snacks. We overeat even though we know we didn't need that much. Ultimately, we silence those internal sensations of hunger and fullness. In response to this, mindful eating is about getting back to basics, regaining those eating instincts. Now let's dive a little deeper into the components of mindful eating. As I mentioned, there's a reliance on internal hunger and fullness cues. Eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full. It may sound easy, but think about how often you truly practice this. Regularly check in with your body and see how you're feeling, and eat accordingly. Eat for physical rather than emotional reasons. Again, the intention shifts toward eating for fueling when we're eating based on internal cues. If you are an emotional eater, mindful eating can help you get away from this. Body food choice congruence means exploring how different foods feel in the body. If we are truly in touch with our bodies, we notice what feels good and what doesn't. Really think about how you feel after eating. Did that food make you feel energized? How long did that energy last? Did you enjoy eating that food? Those foods that tend to feel more positive also tend to be more healthful choices, whereas indulgent foods become more of a choice in moderation. And the final component is unconditional permission to eat. One of the reasons why long-term weight loss is so challenging is because diets often involve restriction and deprivation. While this may work in the short term, usually it leads to us feeling out of control, self-criticism, and eating more, especially the forbidden food. People can fall into this cycle of deprivation and guilt. It's helpful to adopt a more healthy and balanced approach to eating where all foods fit. Research shows that we tend to crave off-limits foods more, and the more we deprive, the stronger the cravings. Instead, mindful eating is about permission to eat whatever it is you're wanting, with the trust that your body will stop you when you've had enough. If you truly enjoy the food, you'll be more satisfied and are less likely to want more. So to sum it up, mindful eating is a lifestyle. It's a way of eating that becomes natural and intuitive. It is not a diet or a quick fix. Think more long-term, steady, and sustainable. The goal of mindful eating is not to focus on weight. Instead, the goal is to normalize your eating patterns and behaviors to better match your body's needs, with the trust that your weight over time will settle at a healthy level. Mindful eating is guided internally by the body, not by external rules or comparisons like calories, meal plans, schedules, or even what others eat around you. Mindful eating is for you and your unique body. Mindful eating is about flexibility and balance, not restriction and deprivation. All foods can fit, we just need to strike that balance. Eating mindfully means being non-judgmental. Food is food, and we are simply eating and seeing what happens. We use those observations to inform future choices. Mindful eating is not about labeling foods or behaviors as good or bad, since this creates cycles of guilt and deprivation. Instead, approach your experiences with curiosity and thoughtfulness. And finally, mindful eating is intentional, not mindless. It's being present and aware. I know that mindful eating might sound a little out there for some folks. It may seem a little fluffy and unstructured in comparison to what we're typically told about dieting and weight control. But mindful eating has been well researched and continues to gain momentum, so I wanted to take a moment to share some of the benefits that are coming up in this research. Mindful eating has been found to have both physical and psychological benefits. For physical benefits, we see improved eating habits, which may not be that surprising since that's the goal, but this might include needing less food to feel full and getting more variety in the diet. Mindful eating can also be helpful for weight management for many people, and it can also help improve blood pressure and cholesterol. And people tend to be more physically active when they eat mindfully. The psychological benefits are really what makes mindful eating stand out from other approaches to eating or dieting. People can have a healthier relationship with food, less disordered eating, and an increased enjoyment of food. People have improved body satisfaction, self-esteem, and optimism, so they feel better about themselves and are able to maintain more positivity. They have improved proactive coping. They're able to handle stress better. And all of this might tie in to reduced depression and anxiety. So all of this is to say that if you're looking to improve your physical health and overall well-being, this might be something to consider. Now let's look at some tips to help get you started. And I wanted to just note that for some people who have gotten really out of touch, this can be a long process. This information is intended only to be food for thought or a basic starting point, and I would encourage you to work through this individually with me because there's so much more that goes into it than what I can fit into this webinar. First, check in with hunger and fullness regularly. This means before, during, after, and between meals and snacks. Look for physical clues like stomach growling, headache, dizziness, fatigue, drowsiness, and irritability. If you're hungry, eat. And while eating, check in with yourself until you notice fullness. Part of this check-in also means looking for signs not related to physical hunger, like mood, boredom, stress. Practice using non-judgmental awareness to observe these sensations and think about what you can do about them. Slow down and savor your food. Truly taste each bite. Let it sit in your mouth and notice the flavors and the textures, soak in the smells. You might even find it helpful to put your fork down between bites. When you savor the food, you'll likely find that you don't need as much to feel satisfied, especially with the foods that you tend to be more susceptible to overeat. Take a break from the numbers, like weight and calories. The focus is on you and your body. A number on a scale or a food label can't tell you how you feel. In the early stages, these numbers can just be distracting, tricking your brain into thinking your methods are or aren't working. So give it a true try before looking for external validation. Another important piece is to create a positive eating environment. Physically sit down at a table in a designated eating space. Dish up. Seeing the food on a plate can help you be more mindful than eating out of a container. Minimize distractions or multitasking while eating. Turn off the TV, put down the phone, just focus on the food. And enjoy good company at meals. Sit down for a family dinner or call up a friend. Making your overall eating experience as positive as it can be will help you tune out any negative emotions or distractions that might try to undermine your plans for mindful eating. Work on changing your mindset so you can fully commit to mindful eating. We talked about the importance of unconditional permission to eat and allowing yourself to eat foods you truly enjoy. In order for this to work, you need to buy into it. You have to take those formerly forbidden foods off their pedestals and experiment. Pay attention to your language. How do you talk about your own eating habits or food choices? Avoid labeling things as good or bad, or associating certain behaviors or foods with negative words. Remember, mindfulness is non-judgmental. Actively working on changing the way you think about and talk about food and your behaviors will help you internalize the positive psychological benefits of mindful eating. And finally, honor your body. Practice self-care outside of nutrition. Making sure you're sleeping, drinking water, managing your stress, practicing good hygienes. Take care of your body. It'll make it easier for you to value and respect it, which makes it much easier to trust it. One useful tool for implementing all of this is an eating journal. A lot of people are familiar with the traditional food journaling where you log what you eat and how many calories and all that. But in keeping with the idea of focusing on you and not the numbers, this type of journal can be more useful for your mindful eating journey. Here are some things to consider tracking in your log. Hunger fullness. Sometimes it's helpful to come up with a ranking system like a scale of 1 to 10. When and what you ate. How you were feeling when you ate, leading up to the meal or afterwards. Any observations you noticed about your physical sensations or about the food itself. Or any other thoughts you've had throughout the day about the overall mindful eating process. And remember to use your Atlas Wellness resources. Specifically, I'm a registered dietitian and would be happy to help you in a nutrition consultation if you'd like to work on eating more mindfully. Like I mentioned, I love this topic and I think it's a really great starting place for a lot of people. Especially right now, it's a really great time to be working on some of these changes for healthier habits so that when we do get back in the swing of things, you'll be all ready to go from a healthier mindset. So please reach out to me if you'd like some support, and I hope you all are staying well. Thank you.